Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, a new and exciting independently developed AAA game from the developer that brought you Devil May Cry and Heavenly Sword, Ninja Theory. So, here are 7 things you need to know about Hellblade. First of all, Hellblade is a game that focuses on story, art style and combat, a AAA game that is half the size as well as half the price of a modern day AAA game. While still maintaining a high level of quality gamers have come to expect from AAA games, set to release worldwide August 8th digitally for $29.99 as well as Euros and £24.99 within the UK. Hellblade follows the character Senua, played by actress Melina Juergens, who is a Celtic warrior and a part of the Pict, an ancient Celtic tribe that wears the paint of warriors on their faces. Senua suffers from psychosis, which will translate into the game since the development team actually explored and researched and even worked with people who suffer from hearing voices and seeing things in real life, which is one of the cool unique aspects of the game. This will come into play with things such as experiential puzzles within the game that create visual and sound related atmospheres, with an example being within the game there is a mission where Senua, the main protagonist, is lost in darkness, and the only way she can escape is by listening to the sound she hears around her. She will also be carrying around an ancient Celtic mirror made from polished iron, and with her visions I expect we will see some unusual reflections. As for the time and setting, Hellblade takes place in 790 AD, set in the Orkney Islands just located off Scotland, shortly after the Vikings discovered the lands and the Celtic population suddenly disappeared, which will be a part of the main story that we will be exploring while traversing the depths of hell and the Celtic underworld, while learning about Senua and her past, all the while moving forward in the Nordic world. Next we have combat. Hellblade will involve killing various enemies throughout the game with Senua's trusty sword, which will not be upgradable and is focused purely on being skill based. Senua will be able to do combos with her weapon that initially gained inspiration from games such as Street Fighter, which is an interesting thought. The game will also have boss fights, and depending on how good you are with Senua's sword will factor into the difficulty. The sword combat does also look incredible from the current trailers out from the game, and with the visual art style the game has, I imagine the boss fights will look spectacular. Do not fear though, the game does not rely all on killing, as there are sections of the game where the main protagonist loses access to her sword altogether, and other gameplay mechanics come into play. Now, let's talk about the music. The development team for Hellblade also brought in special musicians to create original soundtracks for Hellblade, meaning the music you will hear within the game will be specifically created for whatever part of the game you are on, whether it's the Viking related music or music created for Senua, which really does add a unique feel and atmosphere to the game, as specifically created soundtracks really do add a depth to a game. Moving on, Hellblade will pretty much try to have a clean screen, meaning instead of giving the player a cluttered HUD and UI when fighting enemies, there won't be a health bar in the traditional sense, but certain visual implications will tell you the player that enemies are on low health, with things such as cuts and bruises and other things the developers are still working on. I believe this is a great approach, as it makes you the player become more immersed into the world while respecting player intelligence and making combat visually focused, so instead of us just looking at health bars of the enemies, we will actually pay attention more to the characters on screen. So, Hellblade has had an open development, which means they have been sharing the journey of their development of the game, and through this we have witnessed how passionate Ninja Theory just are about their game. And you can see this through the game's evolution over time, with an example of being how Melina Juergens was set to originally be a placeholder for Senua, but instead quickly became the face of Senua. Ninja Theory also created their own motion capture studio that basically allowed them to translate real-time acting straight into the game, which is quite entertaining to watch, and Game Informer has a good example of this on their website. All in all, Ninja Theory have been hard at work to bring us a game that they are truly passionate about. They have even stated this game will not be for everyone, and for those of you who are interested, it surely will be an experience. For me personally, this game seems like Dark Souls meets Witcher 3, though it is so much more of its own thing and seems to be truly a unique original game that I personally hope will not be another sleeper hit and people become aware of this game's existence. So, this has been 7 things you need to know about Hellblade. Drop a thumbs up if this game has piqued your interest. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, stay tuned for future gaming PlayedByViks content, and I thank you for watching.